Hi guys, Brush and Quill here, and I'm just doing a video about my 6mm cavalry from my Assaye stroke Maharata War video series, and just looking at both the figures and the history behind the cavalry there. As always, the figures are all from Irregular Miniatures and their British and India range. Although the Dragoons may be from a different range because of their look. So as previously discussed when talking about the infantry, the government, the Crown, wasn't particularly happy about sending over regiments of soldiers that were King's regiments. Thinking about it, transporting a horse isn't easy. It's quite an expensive thing. And we saw with the infantry that things had to be transported at the cost of the company. So all in all, that led to there only actually being one King's regiment of cavalry in India during both the campaign against Tipu Sultan and the one against the Maharatas, including the Battle of Assaye, and that is the 19th Light Dragoons, who are these guys. These are my 19th Light Dragoons. Now they were actually seen to be quite an effective regiment compared to the native, not native because it's going to get confusing. The original Indian cavalry, the traditional Indian cavalry, we'll say, because of the way they fought. Two lines formed up, and that led to the company deciding that they needed their own cavalry that acted in this way, and they soon started to raise their own cavalry regiments who would act like King's regiments. So the native cavalry, because of that, were raised into like the infantry. When I discussed about the infantry being raised like King's regiments, the cavalry were raised like King's regiments as well. Each formation had 3 squadrons, and each squadron had 2 troops of cavalry. So that's 2 troops equals 1 squadron, 3 squadrons equals a regiment. Does that make sense? And like the infantry, the command for these guys was mixed. So a troop of cavalry generally had 3 British officers, 3 Indian officers, although I haven't seen anywhere about the difference in rank there, and 8 Indian NCOs. Overall command of a regiment was always given to a European officer, though. So although there was Indians in the command structure, they didn't go very high. I think we discussed this with the infantry about the disparity, not just amongst that, but amongst company and King's regiments as well. Each regiment was armed with a light cavalry sabre, and that includes the Dragoons, obviously, a carbine, and 2 pistols, which gave them, like most light horse, the ability to fight in varying different ways. The 19th Light Dragoons and the Native Cavalry were basically the heavy cavalry on the subcontinent at the time. They fought in like it's set up here, like these with 2 lines, and then the first line would go in and charge, and then the second line would go in and charge. And cavalry that was already on the subcontinent was much more like those swirling masses, nip in, attack, nip out, nip in, attack, nip out, that kind of thing. And just really didn't have a counter to this. So this was sort of the heavy cavalry available to the armies there. Similarly to the Peninsular War, the light cavalry were criticised by the generals for being poor at reconnaissance and screening the actions that they're doing. And this is something that was countered by Wellesley by using his Siladar, who are irregular horse, for these roles. So they're the guys who had bows and arrows and lances and spears and stuff. So they, and sort of mercenaries basically, and they were used to screen and to go out and get intelligence for him. So at the Battle of Assaye, there were 4 cavalry regiments, regular cavalry regiments, we'll say, at the battle. There was the 19th Dragoons, which is these guys here. There were the 4th and 5th and 7th native cavalry, Madras native cavalry as well. And there is a bit in it where they have to go and rescue one of the Scots regiments, and they just do this wonderful charge. And it's quite interesting. But we're going to be looking at the battle itself a bit more once I've actually got the figures, and I'll do a battlefield and everything. So the Madras Native Cavalry originated in 1767 when the Nawab of Arcot put 2,000 horsemen at the disposal of the East India Company. Fortunately, there was a couple of mutinies along the way. The first was about pay, which saw the 8 regiments being cut to 4 regiments. And then there was a second mutiny when they tried to make them be proper regular European style cavalry, and that meant that there was only a single regiment at that point. However, by 1787, 5 regiments had been established, which I think includes the original ones from Arcot. And by 1804, there were 8 regiments of cavalry in Madras. Strangely, until 1788, numbering of the regiments was done based on seniority of the officer in charge. So if the officer was more senior, then his regiment was more senior, basically, rather than founding date of the regiment. There was an incident in 1788 that caused the change. Was that the 5th regiment got a new officer that bumped them up to be 1st regiment, and then the 1st was 2nd, 2nd was 3rd, etc. And it was decided this was just stupid, and they changed it. Now, looking at the models themselves, in the East India Company Osprey book by Stuart Reed, it says that they had red dolmans, which is the jackets, and red turbans. However, a painting by Patrice Courcelle in the Assaye campaign book, also Osprey, shows them with black turbans. So I just went with black turbans just to break it up a bit, really, to be honest with you. I suppose I could have put elite troops in red ones, like the grenadiers in the infantry. But yeah, this is sort of what I went with. So just to show you the close-up a bit more. So this is the Dragoons. And I've put 10 in a rank there, just because they're the only European ones, and I wanted them to really get that heavy cavalry charge feel to them. And then this is the 4th. This would be the 5th. So the 4th and the 5th have yellow and light yellow cuffs. And then the last one here is the 7th with their black. Oh, sure. So that's them. Does mean the next thing I've got to do is the cavalry, not the cavalry, artillery. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And then it's on to all the other little additional bits. I know a lot of people put it down in the like comments and stuff. Oh, I don't know how you could paint that, and oh, they're so tiny and stuff like that. If you'd be interested in like top 5 tips or something like that about how I paint them, just let me know in the comments below. Just because there are a lot of people out there that give good painting advice, but obviously people don't necessarily watch those channels and stuff. So if you are interested, just some tips about to do that, let me know. I know that a lot of people have started 10mm now, and there's a lot of key tips which kind of covers all of the 10mm or below ranges. So anyway, it's a bank holiday. I better go off and do some bank holidaying things, because bizarrely it's sunny, which is not a very bank holiday kind of thing to do, but never mind. So you guys, have a good one, and I'll see you next video.